before your phone could tap to pay, before keycards unlocked doors, before wireless data filled the air. There was a question: can we control invisible energy? It starts in 1831 with Michael Faraday discovering electromagnetic induction, proving electricity and magnetism are connected. Then, in the 1860s, James Clerk Maxwell mathematically predicted electromagnetic waves. But no one had seen them until 1887, when Heinrich Hertz physically generated and detected radio waves in a lab. That was the birth of RF, radio frequency, pure energy moving through space. But here's the part history always compresses. Hertz proved the waves existed, but the race to use them, that's where the story gets messy. The very first real offspring of RF wasn't music, and it wasn't podcast. It was wireless signaling, early wireless telegraphy. And before Marconi became the household name, Oliver Lodge. In the early 1890s, Oliver Lodge was already demonstrating wireless signaling using Hertz ideas and improving the hardware. And he worked a lot with coherers, earlier radio detectors, tuned circuits, and practical setups that look like a lot like a radio before the world called it that. Lodge didn't just talk theory, he showed wireless transmission and control demos. And he was talking in terms of tuning, which becomes everything later. So why do people forget him? Because they're savage. No, I'm just kidding. Because Lodge was more of a scientific demonstrator and academic than a global operator. He didn't build an empire around it. Then there's Nikola Tesla, who wasn't just playing with sparks. He was thinking in systems. Power, renaissance, tuned circuits, transmission, receivers. By the 1890s, Tesla is publicly showing wireless concepts and building the groundwork for what we now recognize as radio-style transmission and reception. And he files key patents around wireless communication. Tesla's problem wasn't invention. It was credit, timing, and business. He didn't package it into the world's first global commercial radio network. And unfortunately, history tends to reward the person who ships the product, not the person who built the blueprint. Now, Marconi, he actually matters. By the mid to late 1890s, he's taking existing RF science and turns it into something operational. Bigger range, better antennas, better grounding, better engineering, better development. And by the early 1900s, he's sending radio signals across huge distances, including the famous transatlantic leap. So Marconi becomes the face of it, because it wasn't just proving radio worked. He made radio useful, repeatable, and world-scaled before the government took everything from Tesla. And this is why the story gets cleaned up into one hero. Business and infrastructure wins history. Marconi builds companies and global systems. Patience and legal narratives shaped credit. Who owned radio? Depending on courts, patents, and money. In simple storylines, one inventor changes the world is easier than a messy chain of breakthroughs. Tesla's reputation got mythologized and dismissed. He became a legend. Lodge stayed in the academic lane. Less PR, less empire, less headline story. The truth is, radio wasn't a single invention. It was a collision. Hertz proved it. Lodge refined detection and tuning. Tesla built the core of wireless system concepts. Marconi deployed it at a world scale. And RF became radio broadcasting, radar in World War II, walkie-talkies, satellites, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all of it. RF is the umbrella. It's the physics. It's the carrier wave. Now, fast forward to World War II, the British developed IFF systems. Identify friend or foe, to distinguish Allied aircraft from enemies. The concept, to wirelessly identify an object, became the first true ancestor of RFID. In 1948, inventor Harry Stockman published a paper titled Communication by the Means of Reflected Power. That paper is considered the foundation of RFID. Instead of just transmitting RF, you reflect it, you modulate it, you embed identity into it. By the 1970s and 80s, RFID was tracking livestock, access badges, toll roads. And here's the difference. RF is the wave. RFID uses RF to identify objects at a distance. Passive RFID tags don't have batteries. They wake up when energy is by a reader. Quirky fact, your credit card RFID chip has no power source. It steals a tiny burst of energy from the reader to respond. It's powered by the question being asked. Then in 2003, Sony and NXP Semiconductors standardized something new. Near Field Communication, NFC. NFC is actually a specialized subset of high-frequency RFID, but with a twist. It only works at a very short range, about 4 centimeters. Why? Security, intent, deliberate interaction. RF can go miles, RFID can go meters, and NFC can go centimeters. The first offspring of NFC wasn't payments. It was smart posters in Japan. Tap a movie poster, and your phone downloads the trailer. It paired Bluetooth devices instantly. It transferred contacts. Payments came later. So let's break it down. RF equals the physics, the electromagnetic wave spectrum. Everything wireless. And RFID uses RF wirelessly to identify and track objects. NFC, a short-range and secure evolution of RFID designed for intentional interaction. Think of it like this. RF is an ocean. RFID is the fish in it. And NFC is a handshake in a shallow water. Quick disclaimer before we wrap things up. Everything discussed here is for educational and historical purposes only. Understanding wireless technology should always be used ethically, legally, and responsibly. Today, RF powers 5G, satellite internet, GPS, Wi-Fi 7, and RFID tracks global supply chains in real time. NFC secures digital identity, transit, access control, and mobile payments. But it's evolving. Batteryless medical sensors, embedded identity chips, smart cities that communicate silently in the background. And here's where it gets interesting. RF used to be about broadcasting. Now it's about interaction. RFID used to track cattle. Now it tracks global logistics and pharmaceuticals. And NFC started as a poster tech. Now it might become your passport, your driver's license, your secure digital ID. And today we're moving towards invisible infrastructure, energy harvesting chips, encrypted identity layers in everyday objects, devices that can talk without batteries. The future isn't louder signals. It's quieter ones, more intentional ones, more embedded. From Faraday's spinning copper discs, to Hertz proving the wave, to Lodge and Tesla shaping the early radio reality, to Marconi scaling it to worldwide. RF became RFID, RFID evolved into NFC, and all of it? It started with invisible waves in the air.